Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I am trying something a little different today, Perna. This week I interviewed Tom Grossi, who also cranks out football videos at an unhealthy rate here on YouTube. Make sure you check out Tom's channel, Tom Grossi. Give him a sub, especially if you want more Packers coverage and fan reaction videos.
We got Chase Young! Dan will find a way to ruin him too.
I am hoping to do this with more YouTubers, but only if you like it. And if you want more, please let me know. Tom and I go balls deep on that YouTube life and how glamorous it really is. Whew, that's good, sports. I do have Big Dick Patreon shout-outs for a bunch of really long-winded Patreon names. Brandon Perna gets a plate at the barbecue. Donovan sucks doggy dong. Kids are exposed to heteronormativity from birth and SpongeBob. Many do have a preference. Representation prevents suicide. Thank you for that info. That's referencing my SpongeBob jokes, I believe. Rubinator, the gigolo with the most below. I'm having a baby too. James Richard. Rakumi Azuri. Scott Jacob. That salty Cowboys fan who willingly gives money to a Yinzer, the living derp and the embodiment of John Elway's wet dream. Douglas Lobdell III. Joe, I'm using Patreon to promote my trash Twitter, Glenna at Neon Jair. Plum Perfect Plumbing. Uh-oh, Blue Mountain Ridge, you got competition. Does John O'Brien think I'm cool now? And the moth in Brandon's house. Good Lord, thank you guys so much for your donations. Patreon.com/that'sgoodsports. That's how you support this channel. And now, an interview with a YouTuber. Okay, as I stated in the intro, here is Tom Grossi.
Hi, I'm Tom Grossi.
Yeah. So, first question, Tom, sexual preference.
I find that sexuality is fluid, and it honestly depends on the day of the week. Like, if you take an Aaron Rodgers, for example, right? It depends on how much facial hair he's going on. He's got the Ben Roethlisberger vibe going on. I don't mean that in a sexually assaulty way. I mean just like for facial hair. And I'm not into it, I gotta say. Like, I could imagine it just like, tickling my cheek, but it's just too much is there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Matt LaFleur is by far the sexiest head coach in the NFL.
Those eyebrows are perfect.
I could get lost in them. It's like going through the hedge maze in The Shining, and I want to freeze in those.
Right. Well, I mean, the reason I had you on was to, so many people kept asking me, like, what's Tom into sexually? Bring him onto the show and talk about that.
Yeah, my wife has been wondering the same thing for a while now. We'll be married 5 years in October, and I just like to keep her on her toes, you know, and, always keep them guessing there. And with this voice, honestly, it can go either way. My
wife accidentally got pregnant for those same reasons, so, like...
Yeah. And that comes out of nowhere, too. Like, it just brings on you, right? You know what's funny about... Let's talk about pregnancy, because I'm glad you brought this up, because this is something that's been sitting on my chest and my wife's for a while. So the thing about pregnancy is I feel like teenagers get pregnant so easily, right? You always hear about like accidental teen pregnancy, but when you're actually trying to get pregnant, it's like the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the great mysteries. It's like every time you don't want it, you can have it. As soon as you want it, gonna be a little bit tricky.
I just want your daughter to watch this back and you to admit that she was a mistake. And like that's really where I'm going for.
Yeah, that was smart. Actually, Will asked me,
he Brandon.
What's that?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Will asked me that. He's like, what do you think about your daughter watching your videos one day? I was like, unless I die tragically early, I don't think she's going to be going through my YouTube library watching all of my stuff. No. I hope, like most kids, she's very uninterested in me as a human being.
Yes.
Until I am dead.
That's the goal. That's the goal. And then after your passing, then it could be appreciated. And that's
exactly. It. But what I want to do is I wanted to talk to you sort of about like YouTube and your channel and how you got into it a little bit.
because I get asked those questions quite a bit, and I've answered them before, and I figure I can't just keep talking about myself all the time. But you started with just doing a podcast, right? And then got into YouTube after that, or at the same time? Like, what motivated you to do that?
So the way that it went was the first thing I did technically was a YouTube video, but I wouldn't have considered it like a channel because that was from the Seahawks Packers NFC Championship game. So like I did one of my reaction videos of just like going through the motions of like everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong. Right. And I uploaded it, and like back in the day, like that hit, I think it went up to like 60,000 views, and I was like, oh, I did it, Mom. I'm famous. Like that's it. I can retire now. And it got me into like, okay, like I put out like a couple videos after that. No one watched them. No one ever does. But like, I was like, okay, whatever. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll do a podcast. But even back in like 2015, everybody has a podcast. Like, just like 2020, everybody has a podcast.
Now everybody has 2 podcasts. They're like,
that's
podcast
true.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, I have my gamer channel, and I also have this as well, and my Twitch account. So yeah, so basically what I did is like, all right, well, if I'm going to do a podcast, then I want to do something like different that like, you know, than just talking about the Packers. And so that was the whole idea of like bringing on fans from the opposing team every single week to like talk about, you know, what was going to happen in the game on Sunday. And that's when I met you all the way back in 2015. It's true, because the Broncos subreddit, because I used to literally just go on subreddits and be like, hey, I need a Broncos fan. Hey, I need a whatever fan. And they were like, you need Brandon Perna. And I was like, who? And there you go. Because I didn't like, that's one of the questions I always get of like, what other YouTubers do you watch? And like, there's a few, like there's like, but like I find that like I have so much less time now that you are a quote unquote YouTuber to like digest anything.
Yeah, it's like if I'm watching YouTube videos, it's usually shit that is completely unrelated to sports or football. Like when I'm done, I just need to detach from it because I've spent, 8, 10 during the football season, 12 or 14 hours that day just reading football information, pulling football information. The last thing I want to do is listen to some other asshole who I'm going to get jealous of because their video did better than mine, talk about the same stuff.
Yeah, they're like, did you see what Colin Cowherd said? I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. I didn't care. Like, it's funny. Like, so, and you're very familiar with this, Mr. Adam Rank apparently said that the Packers were going 8-8. Ooh. And so, yeah, and people were like flooding the DMs with that, and I was like, "Did you see it?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see it." So then I looked at it and I was like, "All right, let's give Adam a little bit of crap on Twitter." So because like I had to at that point,
right?
So, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that he did the same thing last year. I made a video just ripping him so hard, and part of it unfairly.
Sure.
And he saw it and sort of responded. So I made another video to make sure he saw it. And then, I got him on the show, and he was way nicer to me than he should have been. And then he's been on, like, anytime I want him to come on, he's like, yeah, definitely. Just tell me when. I'm like, man.
That's phenomenal.
I want to take that video down and like re-upload one where I don't say anything mean. But
yeah, you're just like Adam Rank, the nicest man in football. Like it just like completely 180 it.
Yeah, you forget those are people just making predictions about games.
It's literally the same shit that we're doing. Like the exact, like, and that's the thing too. Like I will be very honest, and I say this on a pretty weekly, consistent basis of like I'm a dude in a basement. It's my basement. I don't own it. I rent it. Like, it's my basement. And, like, what part about this screams professionalism? Like, I do my research. I like to think I know what I'm talking about. But, like, it's my opinion. And that's it. And I think where, like, people have a problem is, like, where they're just like, the Denver Broncos are going to go 7-9 this year. Like, that's it. There's no room for error. It's 100% accurate. Don't question my authority.
Yeah, it's what Nick Wright's doing right now with the Broncos. He picked them to go like 3-13, and he's just refusing to back down from that, or But like that's what they get paid to do. It's,
correct. Those hot takes. They're so hot.
Yeah. The hotter the take, the more money you make. That's what they say in the biz.
100% accurate. Yeah, and that's the thing. So like when I did the podcast, like it was all audio. Like I still vividly remember. Like, and it was never for like, this is going to become a career thing, because at that point I had just started teaching too. And it was just a matter of, like, it's a hobby. It was 2 days a week. It was a long, like, form interview that came out on Thursdays. And then on Tuesdays, I recapped what happened on Sunday or Monday, whenever the Packers played. And that was it. And then it was like a couple years later, I was like, all right, let's start throwing some stuff on YouTube. Why not? And take it from there. And now, obviously, like, YouTube has been way, way, way more successful than, like, the audio, which I still have, but, you know,
right.
It's all about the YouTube now.
Yeah. When did you decide to shift gears and just go rock hard for YouTube? Because, like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think, like, this last season, I noticed, I'm like, dang, Tom's putting out a ton of content. And then I think it was maybe this off season, I was like, he's putting out a shit ton of content. And I was like, he's got to be one of the only football YouTubers putting out more videos than me right now. And so I started paying more attention. I was like, dang, and you're crushing it. So, like, when were you able to make that switch? Because I know it's like a big decision to be like, I'm doing this other job that's paying my bills.
Correct.
But if I really focus on this YouTube stuff, I might be able to make a living doing that.
All right. Do you want the long form version or do you want the short story?
Give me a in between.
Give you a medium. Okay. All right. So YouTube for me was just I literally just took, like, the audio, I put a camcorder in front of me, and it was literally, like, just the same exact thing, and that was it. And that was, like, 2017-ish around. Forgive me if that's wrong. And it was the same thing. It was, like, 2 times a week, and that was it. And I would be ecstatic if I got 100 views. Like, that's where it was, because, like, no one was watching. As you know, it's incredibly difficult to build up any type of fan base on a very oversaturated market like YouTube.
Yeah.
So what it was, 2018 is when, I don't want to say things, like, shifted, but, like, the gears started going in my head a little bit, because at that point I was 3 years into my teaching career. And on top of that, I got the call from NBC, and I was like, oh shit, like, okay, maybe this is going to be something now. So, like, they did the whole Sunday Night Football thing, which was awesome.
Wait,
and
I missed that.
Oh yeah, I was on Sunday Night Football.
Dang,
yeah,
how the hell did I miss that?
It's okay. We don't watch anybody. It's okay. No. So what happened was, in 2018, it was literally the day before Thanksgiving. I had gone down into the city to interview a Vikings fan at a Vikings bar, because glutton for punishment. And when I got home, I had an email on my phone from a producer at NBC Sports who was interested in shooting a promo for the Vikings-Packers Sunday Night Football game, which was that weekend. And, like, I was like, okay. So, like, I, like, responded back to, like, I think it was, like, the assistant. I responded back, and I was like, yeah, I would be interested, trying to sound as, like, calm and cool and collected. It was just like, yeah, this happens all the time, you know? So
yeah, if I got the time, I could maybe make it work, you know?
Yeah, you know, maybe. Yeah, my schedule's just so busy. So she goes, okay, well, I'll have the guy call you. So about, like, an hour later, he calls me, and he's like, I have, like, a vague idea of what I'd want to do. He goes, would you want to shoot it yourself, or would you want us to send a camera crew to your house? And I was like, well, I have a camcorder. Like, that's what I'm rocking with. Like, it's a 1080p, but it's not, like, full HD. It's a piece of garbage, like, camcorder, because that's all I can afford. So, like, that's essentially what we'd be rocking with. So if you can, like, let's do a film crew. So he goes, all right, how about Friday? And I go, day after Thanksgiving, let's do it. So they came at, like, 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. They were there until about 2 p.m. It was funny because, like, he gave me, like, I want to say it was, like, 4 pages of, like, a script, and I don't think we used, like, any of it, because we were just, like, like, when he just like, just go, and I was like, okay, like, and I just, like, started sobbing on my couch or something, and he was like, oh, this is good. This is real good. So Friday comes and goes, they leave. Saturday comes and goes, and I don't hear from them. So at this point, I'm like, you know, they canned it, they didn't like it, whatever. And then Sunday afternoon, they texted me and were like, do you want to see it beforehand, or do you want to just see it live? And I was like, oh no, I'll see it live, like, whole 9 yards. And so, yeah, it was, like, about a 2-minute, like, skit that aired, like, right before the game. And they said something like 10 million people saw it. And I was like, oh man, here we go. Like, this is it. This is my moment. And I got, like, a few hundred subscribers, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, those people aren't making the connection to go from watching their football game to subscribing to this guy on YouTube. But
definitely not.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was that was really, really cool. And like I still had it on my DVR. Like it was one of those things, that I was just like, okay, like this was really cool. And like I walked into school the next day like thinking I was like the hottest shit ever. And like a few kids were literally it was like the Vince McMahon strut. And no one cared. So, but like a few of my students, like they were huddled around like the TVs and they were like, that's my teacher. And I was like, you still have a quiz tomorrow. So anyway, so after the 2018 season, things like went well. I think we hit like 10,000 subscribers and I was like, oh my God, like that's amazing. Like
that's
incredible,
a big moment.
what have you. And then what happened was, and this is the medium version, I won't give you the like pure details, was I left my job to take another teaching job because I was working in a private school and this was a public school offering and they have like better retirement, better whatever. It was like a $10,000 pay cut and it was a 90-minute commute one way and driving. So it was whatever. So I went and I quit my job, did that. And they had lied to me about what the job was. And it really wasn't a teaching gig. And cool. I found that out my first day. So it was cool. It was great. So it was miserable. Like I had never been more miserable in my life. And so
that takes a lot of balls. Like, if we're a little bit misleading with like a title and a YouTube video, no big deal. No, but a whole job description, and then they're like, it's a little different than what we said.
Yeah, no, it was on the second floor of like a random building. Like there were drug addicts walking through the hallways. Like it was bad. Like it was real bad. And that wasn't the students. It was bad. So anyway, so what wound up happening is I was like, I'm miserable. Like this is completely miserable. So I basically was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave. Like I'm going to leave and, I'll try and be a substitute teacher, which paid, I think, a total of maybe $1,000 a month. And in New York, that's nothing. And, I really wasn't generating a whole lot of money from the YouTube channel, but I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do it and we'll see what happens. So I went to go quit and they said, you have to stay for a month. And if you don't, we'll take away your teaching certification. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay. So like everything I went to school for. So I stayed for a month, was miserable the whole time. And then when I left, I got a sub job. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do YouTube stuff. Because like you were talking about the amount of content, like I've been putting out content at least 5 days a week since August of last year. And like that's gone through the off season. Like that's been going on since then. So like it's just pumping stuff out. And so what wound up happening is I actually got an offer for a leave replacement job, which is a full-time job, but you just don't get paid like that. And that ended the day of the draft. So like that like got me through to there. And then like the channel started really, really picking up from that point. So like this September, like I'm still teaching because I'm concerned if there's no football.
Yeah.
Like we fucked. So like we're still rolling with that. But like, it's going to be, I would think sooner rather than later. It's not that I don't like teaching or anything like that. I mean, it burns you out and, that's a kind of like a thankless job, but you do it for like the kids and the students and stuff. But like, I just want to get to the point where at least I have a choice. If I want to continue and do both, cool. If I don't, then, I don't have to.
Yeah. That's a nice, like, I guess, safety net to have professionally. My background's in video editing. So I'm like, I can always go back to doing that. Yeah. But really, like, I'm not sure if I can even edit anything other than me talking to a camera with one angle for, 20 minutes at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that's the thing. So, like, do you do it all? Like, you record, I know you have, like, people that, like, help with, like, writing, right?
Well, Will Keys helps me write, which is, like, a godsend because it makes my shit better.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do everything else.
Yeah, and that's the thing I feel like I had you had video, and I have to imagine, like, that was helpful. Like,
yeah, extremely.
Like, just a smidge. Yeah. But, so I walked into this, like, I didn't know what the hell, like, how to do a podcast. Like, and there was literally just teaching everything from scratch. Like, I'm still editing, like, my video software on Sony Movie Studio Platinum 12. Like, it's an 8-year-old program. Because at this point, I'm just like, I know how it works. It pumps out the videos I need to pump out. And, like, we're just going to keep rolling with it.
Yeah, that's crazy. We gotta find time to upgrade that for you.
I think I bought the last, like, Vegas that came out in, like, 2016. And it's like
Vegas
sitting there.
video editor, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's sitting there right now. I didn't install it.
It's actually just a separate machine. It's
yeah. Because like that's the thing too. Like I feel like people don't understand. Like obviously, you know, there are people who are much bigger than us who have writers, editors, you know, they create everything like for them. And you're just like there in front of the camera to be like the host talking. But like for like us, like when we're doing the vast majority of just about everything, like shit takes a long time.
Yeah, no, it's a grind. It definitely is. And like it makes it more personal that way too, though, I think.
Yeah.
It's like if you make a mistake or screw up something in a video, you really take it to heart.
Oh, 100%.
And you learn to move past it or whatever. But I also think like it's because a lot of people are like, hey, I want to get into YouTube or whatever. How do I do that? And I think it's the thing I tell them, and it always sounds like lazy advice. I'm just like, you just got to do it. Like just commit and just do it. And I think you talking about editing on a 8-year-old software program is like the perfect example of like, if you really think you've got something to say or contribute, or even if you just, I don't know, are motivated enough, like, and you'll eventually find your voice. If you just fucking do it and you commit to doing it twice a week or 5 times a week or whatever, that's the cool thing about YouTube is you can build an audience. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, NBC will just call you out of nowhere.
Yeah, right. Like that happens to everybody, guys. So, well, like, so, but that's the thing, right? So when you're making YouTube content like that, I can't tell you like, and you were just talking about you getting them, like all the DMs and the emails or whatever. I'm just like, I want to make a podcast, a YouTube channel, whatever. And like, I can't tell you how many people are just like, I want to do it so I can have, like, I want to make money, or I want to be a YouTuber. I want it to be another source of income. I'm like, I didn't make money on this for 4 years. Like, and that's what you have to be willing to do. Like, obviously the first like 3 were just pure audio and like a tiny bit on YouTube. But like, it took 4 years. And when I say make money, like I made like $2,000 in a year. Like it's not like, oh my God, like insane money. So like, I think it's one of those things that like people don't realize the commitment that it takes. But if you're willing, like you said, to put it in, then yeah, like you can be successful. But like that is like that intrinsic motivation of like, you have to literally like love what you're doing, or you're gonna be like, nope, I'm burnt out and I'm done. Yeah,
it's enjoying like there are days where I obviously don't want to write or I don't want to edit. Or days where I don't even like, sometimes days like just shooting is the hardest thing. I'm like, I got to pretend to be mad or happy or whatever. Like, I don't want to fucking talk in front of a camera today, but like you get through it. And as long as you enjoy it, then you can keep going. You can now, if I could give like a piece of advice to help people grow an audience faster, it's be better looking than me and Tom. Like if you're very attractive, I think it's a little bit easier.
Oh, you got a huge step up, 100%. Yeah, that's 1,000,000% accurate.
If you're a guy and you can take your shirt off and women are gonna like it, it's gonna help.
And men.
And if you're a woman and you want to talk about sports, you can come in here and just destroy us, probably.
100%. 100. I think it's again, it's one of those things that, if you're deciding like, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole of like being a creator and things like that, like you were talking about, like if you make a mistake in a video, like how are you with comments, like with YouTube comments? Like, do you go through a bunch of them?
It's weird because like part of me wants to go through them and interact with people so they know that like I appreciate that they're fucking showing up to the videos and commenting. And if you're there early, almost all of them are positive. So that's easy.
Yeah.
You wait a day or two and you drop back in. You're like, oh God, this guy says,
what happened?
And 100 other people liked it.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I try to detach from it because it can be really weird. I try to look at it as like, I want to engage with people who are coming back every video, like, because I really do appreciate that. But for the most part, I try to, if I see weird or bad stuff, I don't let it get to me. And I've talked about this with Will. The ones that usually hurt are the people who are trying to be critical in a positive way, but it's like the meanest thing they could say. And they think they're like, I'm a big fan, watch all your episodes, but you're wrong about this. And it's probably the dumbest thing you've ever said. Like,
yeah. No. And cause like there is that separation, right? Because like, I feel like there is that isolation as well, because like it is you in your own place with a camera talking to a camera, right? And like the interaction that you have with people, and it changes like if you stream, right? And you're like, at least there's like some like real time something with that. And I've found that like that has allowed me to get like much closer like with the fan base. But yeah, I mean, it's this weird thing that when you're first starting, like there's either one, there's no comments, or two, it's like, you fucking suck and I hate you. Like I still like vividly remember comments from like 5 years ago. And I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, that's going to come out in therapy later. Like it's one of those things that like, it stings. Like I vividly remember having 3,000 subscribers and I posted a video and someone was like, this is the reason why you only have 3,000 subscribers. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, the anonymity of the internet, like, just gives people just like, I could totally just be a complete piece of shit to this person.
Yeah. And you're like, he was probably right. That's probably why I only have 3,000 subscribers. Because it takes a while for you to get good at doing this shit too.
Yes.
And even still now, like I'll look at a video that maybe I did a month ago. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah, it's garbage. Yeah, I go back and I watch it. I'm like, I don't even know how I got 100 subscribers. Like, I don't know why anyone listened to this, because it was just garbage. Like, it took me like 4 years to get my audio down. Like, there would be episodes where it'd be like, hi, I'm Tom Grossi. And then there would be episodes where it's like ripping through the microphone. And I'm just like, yeah, no, this is bad.
Right.
Not good.
But weren't you doing stand-up before you started this, or at the same time? Yeah,
literally teaching, stand-up, and the podcast all happened at this exact same time.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, so I did improv comedy in college.
Okay.
And like we worked with Upright Citizens Brigade, like UCB, like Amy Poehler created it, like where they get the SNL people. And they gave me an offer when I got out of school to come and like join them. And me being me said, no, I'm going to go be a teacher. Yup.
Oh, you should have done that.
Thanks, Brandon.
Like a network sitcom by now.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. And I didn't get a teaching job for 3 years out of school because no one was hiring. So, but yeah, so stand up, which is very different from improv. I decided to do it literally the week that Robin Williams died, and was like, you know what? Like, let me go and do an open mic. And I enjoyed it and I liked it. And the one problem with stand up, and literally any stand up comedian will tell you this, like it takes 10 years to make money doing stand up, like 10 years in that. You go, and I'd have to go into the city, like hop on the Metro North, take a 45-minute train ride to get into the city, basically spend money every single night to go into the city, do free spots, maybe, and then like in 10 years, maybe it would be something. And I looked at that, and then it's not that I didn't enjoy doing stand-up. I recorded the album, what have you, but the problem was I'm like, I feel like I could do so much more in 10 years by myself on the internet, and like the people who are there for me will follow along with whatever stand-up stuff I do. And like, I kind of just approached it that way because I mean, like, I couldn't spend 10 years of my life losing money and like not seeing like my wife and stuff like that. Well, now like my commute is a couple flight of stairs.
Yeah. I mean, because to make money doing that, you got to get on that road cycle and travel all the time. But it probably helped you though with at least, comedic timing and how to write for YouTube. And the advantage I see there is, you just have access to a much bigger audience all the time with YouTube.
Yes, and 1,000,000%. I mean,
there's so many things about stand-up that I respect and wish I could do. But like this route through YouTube seems a lot easier.
Yes, no, I think you're right, because if you and I mean, like, you literally just have to have like a camera and like decent audio and decent visual, like, and you can do stuff with it, right? And like you can get a following with it. If you don't believe me, literally go watch like shit from 3 years ago that I did where it was like terrible. My hair was terrible. Nothing about, you were mentioning before of like not wanting to write. I find that the worst part of my day is literally doing my hair. Cause that means I'm like, God, I have to like, and it only takes like 5 minutes out of my day. Yeah. But I'm just like, I gotta wet my hair. I gotta put pomade in it, which I just discovered and I love it. And like, it's just like, it's that kind of like ritual of just like, God, like I can't just show up like a mess. But it's funny because like you're talking about the comedic timing definitely helps. But like when you do your show, like how much of it is, I guess you can say like scripted, like how much of it is like written out?
Right. Now I would say, from episode to episode, like 99% of it's written.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I improv'd a few lines, I think like in the last episode. It's mostly just for when I get ideas when I'm shooting.
Sure.
It's like, oh, this joke could be better if I do this here. And usually like anything that I don't write is just me doing something stupid that's like physical comedy in front of the camera. Like, well, the last episode, like, the last 2 episodes, moths were in my basement, flying in front of like my camera and shit, and that turned out to be like a decent bit for my like I didn't write. Hopefully, there's some moths down
the
there.
moths flying in,
right? Yeah, but most of it's written. Just like Will and I try to just get that script tight, and I'm turning into. Like fucking, I feel like Ron Burgundy from Anchorman, when it's like, if it's on the prompter, he's going to read it.
I'm going to read it.
If it's written in there wrong, I am probably going to read it wrong. If I write a number incorrectly, I'm going to read it incorrectly and then be like, how could he have had 93 touchdown passes? That doesn't make any sense.
Like, so you're just going to pull a Ron Burgundy one day and just be like, and go fuck yourself, Denver. Like,
yeah, and luckily end, that won't cost me my job.
Yeah. It's funny because like it's the complete opposite for me. Like 99% of it is all improv. Like the only thing I have written down are stats. Like that's all I have. And then I'm like, okay, like so yesterday I made a video of, it was a Redskins fan reaction. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I wrote down what games they won and lost. And from the time of me writing that down to me singing in front of the camera, I came up with the idea of I'm going to travel back in time to kill and stop Dan Snyder from taking over the Redskins. And then I'm going to turn out to be his father by going back in time. And literally it was just about an hour between writing all that down and then like sitting down to actually film it. And like, that's what happens for the vast majority of things that I shoot. Like I'll literally sit there and I'll like start doing it. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to scrap this entire thing and do something completely and totally different.
I should probably scrap more things. So,
but it's fine. It's fine.
With it, like, I guess like my last question is, where in an ideal world, where are you trying to take what you're doing? Like, what's your goal, I guess?
That's a great question.
And maybe like the biggest challenge you're facing right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is like right now I kind of have like, I'm like half and half. Like I have a foot in like either room, right? So like I have a foot in like the teacher room, which is like more than a 40-hour per week job. Like because the grading, it works on weekends, lesson planning, what have you. And then like a regular day for me is I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I go to work. I get home at 4 o'clock. And then I shoot usually until about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Like, and that's the day. And then you just wake up and do it all over again. And then I stream on Sundays. So I think for me, like with the goal, they've kind of been evolving and ever changing. To circle back to sexuality being fluid, that's kind of like with my goals have been fluid as well. We just all come back to it. And I think it's just a matter of, as I mentioned before, I want to get to a point where I have a proactive choice. I mean, right now, like, honestly, like, I'd like to be able to afford a house that I could live in and not have to pay rent and could, like, actually, put, like, audio paneling around. So,
right.
That
sweet audio paneling.
Yeah, sweet audio paneling. Like, and I think it's that. I think that what I've created, like, I'm really proud of the fact that, like, there was nothing there. Like, there was zero there. Well, one, because you're automatically subscribed. And, like, and I've taken that to, like, 90,000.
Yeah.
Like, And I think like that concept is so foreign to me still, because like I live in New York, like I don't live in Wisconsin. So like I go out, nobody knows who the fuck I am. And I'm like, yeah, I'm literally nobody. Like I went out to like something and someone on Twitter was like, do people recognize you? I'm like, no, because I'm a nobody. Like no one cares who I am. And like, I think it's one of those things that I want to get to a point where I can say, okay, like I can do this. I can feel comfortable doing this. I don't have to worry about it. And at the same time, like I can continue to create whatever the hell pops into my brain. And if people watch it, cool. If they don't, also cool. But like having that luxury,
it's not cool. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's definitely cooler when they watch, but I will
cooler
say
when you watch.
It's definitely cooler because that allows me to do what I do. But like I will say, like I have created the same stuff like back then that I create today. It's gotten amazingly better. But I would say that, you know, there are things that like I will come out and say, even if it's not popular or what have you, and like I'm just going to do it. And that's it. And like that's why the channel's name is Tom Grossi and it's not Packcast, because like if you're coming, like you're getting this. You might not want all of this, but this is what you're going to get. So hopefully we're going to get to a point sometime where, you know, it's comfortable.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. Are those official merch shirts you're wearing?
Oh, yes, they are. This is the toaster bath. Yes, what we want to do.
That's pretty cool. Those are actually, that's a really great design.
Right? I love this design.
Is that in your Teespring store and YouTube?
Excuse me. We use Bonfire here.
Ooh, Bonfire. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just reached out to me first. That's it. Nothing else. They just reached out to me first. Yeah. Yeah, no, I wear shirts and it's great because they're comfy. So I can just throw this on and be like, I'm ready for work. Well,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just have like 50 T-shirts, and they're either That's Good Sports logoed, Broncos logoed, or just plain. And those are my work shirts. Except for today.
You are crushing it today in that polo.
Today I dressed like a schoolboy.
That's it. You're just like, I'm ready to learn right now.
Right.
If I may, I know you asked me the questions. I do want to ask you a question though.
Oh, okay.
You know, because why not? Besides your preferences.
Missionary.
But, okay. Well, you already answered. So, like when it came to like YouTube with you, because like back I still remember like when you first came on the show like 5 years ago. And I will say you were like the first YouTuber who had an audience that was just like, hey, look at this like small person who has nobody listening to them. Like, yeah, I'll go on that. I think we talked for like an hour and a half. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun talking.
But I think like what'd you have? Like, I think they had like 30,000 subs. It was like, it was a good amount like that you still had like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So like for you, when were you like, yeah, like this is going to be my thing. Like, this is what I'm going to do now. Like, yeah, forever. It was,
my wife and I were living in Los Angeles. And so I was like freelance editing, doing this on the side, editing like whole bunch of shit for other people. And by chance, we ran into some people at a Broncos game here that ended up offering her a job back in Denver. And so we decided, I guess this relationship's pretty serious, and we'll move back to Denver together.
I guess.
And she's not from here, I am. And when I moved back, I lost all my freelance editing work because I wasn't in LA anymore. And I just had my channel. I didn't know what I was going to do. I turned down like a full-time editing job here, was doing like some freelancing. I was like, we're living in my parents' basement. If I don't commit to doing this shit now, like I'm never going to do it. And it was starting to pick up. And then we bought a house and moved into it. And I was making like just enough money where I wasn't going to lose my shit.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit saved up from living with my parents. But having a house then made me ultra motivated to be like, look, I can't fuck up 1 month and not have like my commitment of money to help with what we need to live to buy food and all this stuff. So once we moved into our house is when I really doubled down on it and, just said, this is it. Like, I'm going to try this. If it doesn't work, I'll figure something out. But
do you ever worry about like being the Broncos guy? And what I mean by that is like, if like, I know that you started out being like super Broncos centric and then you've kind of obviously branched out.
Yeah, not anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
I did like, so, and that was another thing I had to do was once the Broncos after Peyton Manning retired and then they started not winning, 12 or 13 games every season, about October, people's interest just dropped. And everybody likes to claim like they're the best sports fan base out there. But when their team starts fucking losing, a lot of people stop giving a shit. And it's not like to take a shot at their fandom. I think a lot of it also is like they don't want to be reminded of the terrible loss that week.
Correct.
But when I was like seeing that my numbers should be rising and they weren't, I was like, well, I can't just keep covering the Broncos. And I wanted to talk about the NFL more anyway. So that was just like another thing that forced me to start taking the NFL as a whole serious. And I had more time to focus on it since that's all I was doing. So it was forced upon me. But, some people still just watch for the Broncos content, which is cool. Yeah. Like I love featuring it, but I'm more interested in like looking at the NFL as a whole now. Like I like talking about the players and the teams. And right now it's just players getting arrested and shit like that, which sucks to talk about, but it's
adding covers,
the only news out there. And like, I can't wait for hopefully football to happen so we can focus on, more positive shit. But
yeah, I mean, like that's one of the concerns I have. Like, obviously, like this was very, very Packer centric,
right.
like very, and like you branch out and stuff. And it's funny because like when the Packers sucked in like 2018, my viewership went up because Vikings and Bears fans were jumping on and being like, "Look at this asshole," and then they stayed. So I was like, "Haha, right. Got him." But like it's one of those things that like there are times like I worry about it because. Like there's times where I want to make stuff that's beyond football. Like, because like you were saying before, like being able to like unplug, right? And saying like, okay, like I'll talk about football, whatever. But like this conversation, like we've talked about football like a handful of times and it's been wonderful because like at some point it's like, okay, like take a step back from football for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But, like it's one of those things I grapple with of like, do I try and do other things? Do I need to create a new channel for it? No, screw that. It's named Tom Grossi. Like I could just do whatever I want. And like, that's kind of how I've approached it. Of like, if people watch, cool. If they don't, cool. Like I have enough stuff. They'll tune in somewhere. Yeah.
It's like, I think to do this, there's like some sort of creative drive inside of you. And after a while, if you're talking about the same things week in and week out, you start to question your worth as like what you're doing. Like how many different ways can I say big dick player? how many different ways can I say this guy scored another touchdown? Or you know what I mean? It's like that's why for me, like doing the highlights got much less interesting, and I liked to focus more on the news stuff because at least it was like a new thing and there were new ways to make jokes about it. But I think about doing like something different, every week, but this is what it's built on. And unfortunately, YouTube also makes it really hard for you to do new content on a channel because if you put out a video that isn't football related, your audience is less likely to click on it.
Correct.
If they don't click on it, YouTube's like, nobody's interested in this video, so we are not going to show it to anybody new. And it's just how their algorithm's currently built. So it's not just like a creative hurdle. There's very practical hurdles there that you're like, man, I wish YouTube's like, oh, this is kind of a new thing he did. Let's show it to everybody and see what happens because this guy's put 1,000 fucking videos on the internet. And maybe he's committed to making us money, so we'll help him out too.
Just a smidge. Yeah, and when you hear that, it's like YouTube's like, oh yeah, we made $1 billion in ad revenue. And I'm just like, right there. Like right there.
And
like,
if somebody from YouTube just gave me a call and was like, hey, the reason that video didn't perform is because it sucked, not because we didn't try to help you, then I would get it. I'd be like, okay,
all right, I got it.
All right, fair enough.
All right, I get it.
I honestly can't tell what's good. Like literally, I don't know the difference between a good and a bad video anymore. So
no,
that would be
that thing I created yesterday. I literally, before I showed it to my wife, I was like, this is either the best or the worst thing I've ever created. And there's no in between. Like it is literally, it's one or the other. Like I literally was recording it. And when I was there in my wife's clothing and in a wig, I was like, is this bad? Nah, it's all right. Let's just keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah, I've been in a dress on this show too, so
Yeah, listen, you just that's what brings in the views.
Well, last thing, I swear to God.
I don't care.
So like I think I know a video's good when one of my friends will text me and be like, "Hey, that video today was really funny."
Mm-hmm.
Because most of them don't ever text me about it. I don't expect my friends to watch my shit anymore because I've been doing it for so long. But if they take like the effort to send me a message and say this is good, then I'm like, shit, yeah, I did all right today.
I did it.
Does that ever happen like with you where somebody will reach out and be like, hey, or are they just kind of mostly over it?
You know, it's funny because like, yeah, the friends that I have, I use that in quotation because like I like talk about isolation. Like I feel like it's one of those things. You ever see the movie Whiplash?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I resonate with that movie a lot. Like,
dude, it's so good.
Like it's a great movie. But like that whole idea of like, if you want to be successful with something, like it's literally just like going balls to the wall, all of your time, energy, effort, what have you. And like, I will be honest, like there's not to get like super deep, but like there's consequences to that. Like I will say like, since I've done this, like I'm doing 2 full-time jobs, like, yeah, social life.
Oh yeah.
Like, it like hurdles into the ground. And, you know, it's one of those things of like, okay, like I have to make time for like my wife because like that would be bad. Like if that became a problem. But, you know, it's one of those things that like when we make new friends, and by we, I mean my wife, and then I tag along and then they're like, okay, this person's okay. And then they find out they are more receptive to it because they haven't been there since like the beginning of me doing all of this stuff. And I don't push it in their face or anything. So yeah, I mean like every now and then I'll get like a text or something, but I find that the way that I know I did a good job is if I want to watch the video, because you spend so much time editing it and seeing it over and over and over again. If I actually am like, all right, I want to sit down and watch this again, then I'm like, okay, this is good. Like this was good. And that's usually because the majority of my stuff, like you spend so much time with it editing. I'm like, I don't want to see this ever again.
Oh yeah.
Like, here you go. Like just go up. That's it. Like I automatically start playing and I'm like, nope, pause. And I'm like liking comments. Yeah, no, I think it's like an inner thing, but yeah, every now and then, like someone will text me and be like, that was good. And I'll be like, there we go.
You know what's really, really sad is instead of pushing pause, I push mute so that YouTube counts it as a longer view.
That's phenomenal.
That's how twisted YouTube gets you thinking about shit.
That's it. And you know what? YouTube's going to listen to this right now and they'll be like, you son of a bitch. We're taking 6 cents away from you.
We told you not to watch your own videos.
Yeah, that's it. We're taking 6 cents away from you in the next ad. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, but that is a thing, though. Like, I feel, you know, it's like starting a business kind of thing, right? Where it's like you put so much of it, like it's your baby, essentially. I mean, I know that you're going to have like a real
sweat equity, right?
Yeah.
That's what like guys who went to business school say.
Yeah, sure. I believe it. I watched The Office a few times, so like I definitely picked up some business know-hows. So yeah, but I mean, like, you know, that's a thing. If you're like really, really committed to it, and I feel like I'm an unhealthy committed to it, because like to put this shit out still 5 days a week in June, you have to kind of be.
That's a little crazy, but
yeah, just a smidge.
It'll pay off. It pays off eventually.
Yeah. The thing that I'm slightly concerned about, I talked about this with a few other people. Like 100K is like the next thing, right? Yeah. So like I'm at 90.5. If I hit 100, I'm hoping for a brief moment there's gonna be like like I can reflect a little bit. I can maybe slow down a tiny bit. It's not gonna happen.
It won't.
These are the lies that I tell myself.
You're gonna be like, I got to get to 200K. Like I'm sitting at 195, and I lost a few hundred subscribers when I just spoke my true feelings about everything that was happening in the world.
Yep.
I've crawled back up after pulling some weeds around here on the YouTube channel, and it's just eating at me to get to that number. And as soon as I get it, it's just going to be 300 or 500.
Yeah.
And like
that's like the one bad part about it. Like that's the extrinsic motivation, right? Because like at the end of the day, yes, more subscribers means more people watch, which means more ad revenue, which means that I get to like support myself and my family. Great. That's wonderful. But at the same time, like if you just put it like your success or your idea of success on those numbers, then it like, I don't know, like it becomes almost like meaningless, and it becomes like, very, very sad. But yeah, no, I'm hoping I hit this arbitrary number that can be under my name. I get a check mark and everything. It'll be so fancy.
You're gonna hit it soon.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping. But I'm hoping at some point, like I'm doing it 5 days a week because it's like that constant cycle, right? In which you're just like, I put out more content, I get more subscribers, what have you. Because this time
it keeps you conditioned too. Like you're in video making shape.
Yeah, and like this time last year, like I vividly remember, like I think I got a total of like 100 subscribers, like for the month, because like it's dead, like there's nothing going on, and like I'm getting like 100 to 200 a day. So like now I'm like, okay, so I can't stop then, because as soon as I stop, it all dies. It's going to go down now. So yeah, that's healthy. It's really, really healthy. We're healthy people.
We're super healthy, and YouTube is the best thing anybody can do for their mental health and well-being.
Oh yeah. I'm actually just doing this so I can make enough money to pay for a therapist. That's the goal. Change my answer to this. That's the goal.
And when I get 300,000 subscribers, I'm going to start a drug addiction. So I really, really have some things to work out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I just need to constantly fix myself or something. So
exactly. All right, Tom. Well, thank you for joining me today, talking about some YouTubes. And I'll tell people to subscribe at the beginning of the video, so they actually do, because the amount of people that watch this long, I don't know, but is your YouTube channel, Tom Grossi. Anything else you need to plug, or?
If you don't find me, I'll find you.
That's a great line.
Sounded like a threat, not a plug. Yes. It's a promise.
All right, man. Thanks for coming.
That was great, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate it.